Okay, it's Friday. The weekend looms before us. It's a busy, busy, busy time. There's a lot of stories going. Just prior to the show launching, Blake and I were talking about the Nova Scotia government's decision to, out of a concern for fires, to ban anybody going into the parks for any reason at all. Just by virtue of your humanity, you pose a risk to causing fires, which I guess on some level there's some rationale behind it. You know, if you can't identify the exact perp that's going to cause fire, shut it down for everybody. Nobody can go in. But this is problematic because people are looking at it, some people, as overreach and extreme. We got so much going on. Today was a deadline in Texas for the Dems to return because of the gerrymandering issues, the state redistribution. We got Cheryl with us today, and we got the Vinyl Gorilla. Welcome, both of you. Welcome, both of you. So, okay, well, let's take on. I'll give you a clip because there's a million stories in the Naked Sun. Sue's not here with us yet. She'll be joining us partway through the show. She's on her way home. I got a lot of Letitia James. We got Ford on TV. On the land on newcomer Valentine's. Mar-a-Lago's anniversary today. We got a lot going on. Texas Dam. Oh, Maxime Bernier did a good one on this, Blake. I'll play this for you.
Okay.
Okay. So this is kind of, predictive. Okay, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, okay. And then I'll make this big. We go here, and it goes here. I tweeted this, back in the coming climate lockdowns during COVID. 3 years later, we're here. Maxime Bernier, this is going back to 2022. The COVID lockdowns and vaccine passports are just a rehearsal for the climate lockdowns and the carbon passport. So climate lockdown. So Blake, do you equate what we're experiencing in Nova Scotia? And if I failed to explain it clearly enough, certainly frame it for the folks, let them know. But Nova Scotia, tell the story about the parks and government-owned lands.
Well, it's everywhere.
It's
a dictation towards private property as well. So it's not just in crown lands, which is the equivalency of public lands and parks, but it is everywhere. What's interesting, there's been some really good comedy videos put up so far about it. I've been appreciating that on X recently. But the fact is that the number one, I think they're not going to be able to make this pass because they're basically, but I don't know if they care. They're trampling on the rights of what has been essentially locked into law since the Magna Carta. I mean, the rights for English people to go into the forest. I know there was the closest we've ever had to this is I think what I saw somebody posting about this, the closest this has ever come to this kind of draconian measures to keep people out of the woods, quote unquote, they're calling it, is in England, something like 700 years ago or 500 years ago, where the king said you're not allowed to go hunting in the woods.
Yeah, the royal grounds, right? Because it was the king's. They didn't want poachers in there, so the king's royal swine would be left alone to his highness to go hunt down, right?
But this just gets beyond the pale because I agree with that statement. And this has been talked about for a long time. So it's not just Bernier, but Bernier is just reiterating what people were fearing was coming all throughout the 2010s and onwards, where a lot of this Agenda 2030 stuff was coming out about climate action would include removing people from access to wild places.
Very briefly, tell the kids what Agenda 2030 is in a nutshell.
Oh, in a nutshell. Well, it's an opinion that there is too many people in the world. Essentially, it was a depopulation measure, and that we would move towards this new climate world with a climate financial system based on a social credit system.
Right.
So a carbon-based taxing system, a carbon-based pricing system. This is how they were going to do it. Basically, the air you breathe was being monetized and being controlled by government. And but essentially, but getting back to this point, I think what's happened is Tim.
Listen, Paul, you son of a bitch. Blake's the best coach. We love Blake. You're not getting the job. We love you, Paul, but no. Keep going, Blake.
But what happened in Nova Scotia, I believe, is the next stage of the dress rehearsal. This is the idea that people can't be trusted. All of you can't be trusted. The government is saying you can't be trusted, yet we're the ones who put these people in power. So I think there's this separation happening, and it's always tyranny always comes on the steps of security. It always does. It never comes from the idea of, well, let's just make it up out of thin air and we all just want it right now for no reason. It always comes on the backs of some kind of security state.
Take this. It's for your own good, or we're the government. We're here to help.
But I mean, it's getting ridiculous to the point where they're saying, well, walking in the woods is going to start a fire, or you're going to go for a walk on a trail with your running shoes before, right? That somehow is going to what? How is that going to start a fire? They're saying no, because one or two of you are going to walk in there with a cigarette butt and start a fire. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's not. We have a society is that the perpetrator are typically the ones that are responsible, not the entire population gets punished punitively for this. And now, if you look at the fire maps around North America right now, Nova Scotia has very little. I think they have something like in single-digit hectares of land.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of land that's in danger right now. Their condition, it's summer, so their condition is listed as high right now. But but it's in an isolated spot. Yeah, you can see the little, the red. Danger. Red means danger, and it's a very limited part, even of Nova Scotia, which by and large is a small land mass, relatively speaking, to the rest of Canada.
Well, I think there's going to be a challenge. There's one guy who's on there. I think his last name's Easley. I've been watching him. He's been really good. Apparently, he was a PPC candidate at one point, but he wants to go get fined because he wants to challenge it in court. He wants to say you can't do that. It's violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, et cetera, et cetera. He'd probably win. He did a Grok test, I think. He did an AI test to look at the validity behind it. Apparently, he has a 70% chance of winning. But yeah, it's overreach. It's tyranny in steps. But yeah, they remove your access to the wildlands, to your own backyard. Because it's not just they're going after people. If you have guests at your property and you guys decide to go and sit down, have a picnic on your own property in the woods on your own private property, you can get a $25,000 fine. That's what they're going after. And I mean, we have burning bans. That's been on and off for a long time. That's a whole separate thing. But this situation where you have you're not allowed to go for a walk in the woods. I mean, all I have to say to that is somebody just please identify as a tree. I mean, you can identify as a dog or as a cat. You can have kitty litter in the classroom, so you can go piddle in the corner. You could do all that stuff. Just identify as a tree. I mean, I'm part of the woods. I identify as the woods. How are they going to stop that? I mean, the insanity.
Use their own identity policy. I mean, it's a joke, but to use their own identity, the ridiculous identity politic ideology against them, right, for obvious things. So this is a story we're going to keep our eyes on. I think at the end of the day, it's not so much about fire prevention as it is about a litmus test and or the canary in the coal mine. Let's see if Nova Scotia will knuckle under, and if they cave, then we'll try the same psychology in other parts of Canada. And of course, there's always your useful idiot. We call them liberals in Canada. Small L liberals or lefties. Let's stay out of the woods thing. It's 100% complete in total authoritarian control. And it's sick. And that's the reality behind it. It's the old Roddy McDowell, they live thing. You put the glass on, you can see what the reality is really going on behind the facade. There was a meme in England. They had a package. It's kind of done like a guy buying, men don't do the gift wrapping. So they go to the girl at the store. And so he's got the girl there and he's got his little package and it says social control, right? Total social control. And then the salesperson goes, how do you want this wrapped? And it's like to save the children or or it's going to be the best for the economy kind of thing. You had a choice of wrapping it. Two justifications that are simply a wrapping, simply a cover for the real story, which is controlled by the powers that be over the
Well,
population.
which is interesting because there's a photo going around of a recent gathering showing some of the top Liberal cabinets members having a meeting with Rob Ford and Houston, Premier Houston, Tim Houston, who was there as well. Only two of them, not the other guys, the other premiers, but he's there. But now it's being exposed that Tim Houston is one of those Caribbean tax haven multi-gazillionaires, allied, knows Carney, where he's got his offices there as well. And I believe in Bermuda, I believe that's where they're set up. But it just shows it's that classic Laurentian elite allied to their globalist identity, tied, you own nothing and be happy. I saw somebody mention that in the chat, but that's exactly what it is. You'll own nothing, be happy. They're just trying to strip you of your private property rights. And this goes all into this whole, I think, all tied to this idea is that they are saying that Canada is a post-national state. We have no identity. We're living on stolen land, et cetera, et cetera. They continue to attack at the very foundations of freedom. And one of the biggest foundations of freedom is the right that anybody can own a piece of property, because then you become a king in your own castle. And as soon as the nobles can take your land away and make you a serf again, you're no longer free.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. So we know private property is under attack. And, if you want to know about the state of Canada, Sue brought this up. Nova Scotia is outlawing fishing and hiking. It's not even just hiking. You can't even take your canoe or your boat out on the water and do some fishing, right? You're going to be in trouble for that. Daniel Smith is apparently, she's Alberta. This is supposed to be our big conservative hope in Canada, but she's hiring a foreign police force. What investment in the population does a foreign police force have? What tie, what love for the country, to the nation, does somebody from a foreign nation have? Zero, none. So what do your Canadian rights, falsely so-called, have in terms of value to a third world police officer that's suddenly been deputized to represent the state with the power to suspend your civil rights? Absolute madness. Doug Ford's bragging about mass immigration. He wants to give money to the migrants for work. We'll talk about the economy in a sec. We just got the jobs report. Mark Carney spending like a drunken sailor. He's throwing a bunch of money out because he's trying to get Canada energized within itself. But of course, that's just masturbation. Your seed is being spilt on your own bed seat there, Carney. And David Eby making it illegal for Canadians to enter provincial parks. Welcome to Canada.
So based on race.
It's
race-based access to provincial parks.
Can I jump in and say, see if Lake's heard about this, about Carney giving millions or billions, I don't know, to the company that's building lumber companies or something that's part of Brookfield and all that? Yeah,
they're part of his Brookfield Corporation.
Is this not a conflict of interest for him?
Well, he's maybe one of the most conflicted politicians we've ever had in history. Yeah. But the problem is, you have to understand where the conflict is. Canada is one giant conflict. So anybody who's tied to the investment world in Canada of any sort is going to be highly conflicted, maybe convicted, but highly conflicted, because we own each other through these massive union pension funds and pension fund schemes where these asset managers have Canada's pension system invested in it. And those asset manager companies control all of that. So they got their tentacles into all aspects of business in Canada. And so it doesn't matter where he goes, he's going to have a form of conflict in housing, in lumber, in mining, in it all. So I think it's essentially what you're seeing is this is the problem when the giant asset managers are trying to take over the world, and they're using your pension money if you're a public servant or if you're a union pensioner or maybe even have a private pension fund somewhere that's involved with the fractional ownership of all of these companies. So that's the problem.
All right, folks, let's turn our attention, our eyes southward. Blake and I are both in Canada, so we cover a lot of what's going up in our own country. But we again, at the risk of repeating myself endlessly, both of us, we really love the States. As a matter of fact, Elon Musk has got a thing going where you can, it's called Imagine, and it does little videos and stuff. So immediately I thought, gee, wouldn't it be interesting if I could bring to life, and as a matter of speaking, one of my ancestors. So I have my Civil War ancestor, and I thought, well, I got this cool picture of him. Let's see what AI can do with this old family photo. So here's the photo. Okay, well, wait here. It starts like there, and then it goes like this. Isn't that amazing? I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see him do his thing. But that's my third great-grandfather, Captain Milton Francis Stout, 68th Ohio Infantry volunteer during the American Civil War. He was a captain, and I thought this was just amazing to see this kind of technology used in this way. Just to, as in a manner of speaking, bring my my ancestor to life. So just kind of a fun way of showing, and it gets it up here, so it'll be one of the videos. I'll always have a clip of it. But tremendous love for the United States that Blake and I both have. The question went out from, I forget his first name, but the last name is St. Pierre. I'm a St. Pierre with my ancestry and like my French-Canadian part. And this guy's a really good guy. He's a patriot. I call these people patriots who fight for nationalism, for what we once were. And he goes, do you love Canada? How do you feel about Canada? I said, anything I had for it. I used to love it. I don't give a shit about it anymore. I really don't. I don't even recognize it. It's nothing that speaks to me. It doesn't reflect my values. It's persecuting the very thing that I hold most dearly, which is my faith before God and the Lord Jesus Christ. So, we got this American guy out of California, bless his heart, he's out there preaching, but they've been banning this guy from public speaking. Meanwhile, our streets have been taken over by Free Palestine. The juxtaposition, the contradiction, and the hypocrisy, no limit. Okay, so let's turn our eyes southward to the glorious United States. We got good news. Ladies and gentlemen, by God, if you were looking for justice, if you're looking for recompense, our top story right now is going to be Schiff, Adam Schiff, pencil neck Schiff, and Letitia James. So see the top link there is Schiff and James, I've titled it. And I've got a number of clips on this story that's unfolding as we speak. Holy crap. You sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind.
Yep.
They threw this boomerang. It's coming right back at them. Everything they tried to, and of course, today is the actual 3-year anniversary of the raid at Mar-a-Lago. Remarkable what's happening. Breaking, Attorney General Pam Bondi has appointed, guess who? Ed Martin to investigate Letitia James and Adam Schiff as their special prosecutor. Oh my God. Now, I got to tell you, Ed Martin is a fella, and Sue's got, I guess, another clip right away. I might as well leave this one up. Ed Martin, the Dems fought to get rid of him. So he lost. He was going to run for the, I think, district attorney in Washington, D.C. They killed him on that. So then Trump went and appointed him. Or they set him into an area where he could be appointed as special counsel. It's absolutely glorious. It is glorious. This criminal here, allegedly. Breaking, Letitia James, Democrat. The Attorney General of New York is now under investigation in connection with her civil fraud case against Trump that resulted in a $300 million penalty. The investigation will be looking into whether James caused a deprivation of legal rights under the color of law through its civil suits against Trump and his businesses. There's the bitch right there. Boom. Yep. Justice coming. Sue, can you grab another? I got another Letitia there.
Apparently, they're expecting
James, Letitia James down there. Sorry, Jay. Go ahead.
I from what I've been hearing, they're expecting her to sing like a bird. She is going to point the fingers 100% in full panic mode to all the actors that have been pulling her strings. So this should be good. Apparently, Merrick Garland's going to be implicated in this as well. So let's just see how far up the chain this goes.
Yeah, I'm just pulling some stuff up because Sue's a little okay. She did Lives of TikTok, which is a great account. If you're not subscribed, you should be. I've got yet another Letitia James here, which I am going to find for you because there it is. Gunther Eagleman, he's a great account too. Boy, I got to tell you, Blake, and you probably follow a lot of these accounts as well. They'll be familiar to you. They are great. Okay, Gunther Eagleman on here. Okay. The partisan hacks at MSDNC say that Letitia James should be very concerned about being probed by the DOJ. I love the language. Probe Letitia. That kind of scrutiny of financial records, business records, everything going back probably years might yield something. TikTok. Let's go big. Let's
that they may be investigating.
Play the clip and start it right at the beginning. Here we go.
There is nothing scarier for a business records. Everything going back probably years might yield something that the government finds interesting.
All right, I'll do that one more time. Sorry.
There is nothing scarier for a citizen to get a subpoena or find out that they're being investigated by a federal criminal grand jury. It's terrifying, and here's why. Grand jury investigations sweep broadly. They gather terabytes of information, and they're very efficient at going through it. And the problem there for people is that they may be investigating issue number one and then stumble across never before known issue number two when going through all those documents. That is why if somebody is the subject, the target of a grand jury investigation, that is not a good sign. So given that the federal government has such tremendous power to investigate, Letitia James should be very concerned.
It's okay. Let me get this. Let me kill this. All right. So this is an amazing turn of events. So you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. They went hard in on Trump. They went at Mar-a-Lago. That's coming to bite them because a lot of these, some of this, I don't know where they're going to be dealing with Letitia James. She's being investigated though by Ed Martin. They couldn't get a better guy for this. He's got his own reason to go after these people. It's glorious, Blake. It's just unbelievable what's happening. Karma is a bitch, well and truly. Sue, what's this one you got queued up right now? Is that one we already did?
Nope.
Okay, we'll leave that. We'll get it in a bit. Blake, take it on. What do you think about what we're experiencing so far? Oh, okay. We'll do that after this. Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, well, I think this is just the steps forward towards getting the justice that people have been looking for a long time. Again, not a revenge justice. This is an actual justice. When your entire system that you rely on with trust, you're talking your legal, in government, your law enforcement, that you've got all these different agencies that are supposed to be protecting the country, protecting the citizens, have been weaponized and turned to go against the citizens. That's the problem. It's been weaponized, and now finally we might start to see some of the songbirds. And I'm going to say a songbird because I don't think Letitia James, she's a low-level, maybe mid-level operative within the apparatus of the Democratic Party, and really, let's just call it the uniparty operators, that the elites that have been running everything for some time here, because it's on both sides of the aisle, if you want to call it that. And but I think the hope is that Letitia James, from what I've been listening to, what people have been talking about, her background is that they're expecting her to sing like a bird. She is not going to go down. She is not going to allow herself to go down for the ship. She's not going to be that captain. She is going to be one of those peons down below. As soon as she's under oath, she is going to tell everybody to get her ass out of going to jail.
Okay.
And so she's going to start pointing upwards to all the people who told her to do what she did.
Who are the people that told her to do what she did then? Give me some names. Like, who do you anticipate?
Well, I was just saying, apparently there was a call that came directly from Merrick Garland. So we'll see what happened there. Merrick was completely involved in
What
that.
if we don't need her to sing? What if we don't need her? What if we got Garland on other charges that are just as
well, we'll get that. Well, that's the point. But you get these people to sing and point. It's how you break up an organized crime group is you go after the lower level bosses, and those you get those bosses to turn on the upper bosses, so that they destroy the entire organization. That's what you want. You want to break the entire organization. Some of them will do jail time. She might, if she sings, might have to do a little bit of time, but if she's getting the big bosses to go to jail forever.
Demand. She's been such a thorn in the president's side.
Yeah.
She's high profile. She's put herself right out there. She ran on being able. She ran for her position in AG in New York on the promise that she would nail Trump to the cross. Okay.
Well, and didn't George Soros prop her up?
George Soros. Well, there's more money. Soros.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is we're not. You want to take the heads off the snake. You know, not go after the crap that's on the ground, and she's with the crap.
Yeah, I just think that they can't get. There's no way in hell that anybody's going to be satisfied unless she goes to jail. They all got to go to jail. Now, you could go for a reduced sentence. Okay, so we're going to throw you away.
Well, that might be the case. I'm not saying that's not the case, but the kind of information that she has may put some bigger people away if she's willing. Same with Shifty Schiff, right? That picture of Adam Schiff that you have is great because I was thinking of Latka Gravis for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Ibida.
Yeah, we got more on Schiff, and of course there's like all this stuff is going down. Adam Schiff's in trouble for a whole bunch of reasons.
Mortgage fraud, big one. I mean,
let's look at also what MSNBC was saying, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves this day and age. You know, whatever NBC was saying. They're saying that, and this was the problem in the original case, is they threw a big wide net on people like General Flynn and people close to Trump, FISA court abuse. They just threw it over, which gave them free access to all these people, and then they could wiretap them. They could get their documentation. They can intercept everything. And it was just a big net that they could grab, and then they'd file through looking for anything they could use to convict, indict these people. So,
well, I think they've got I mean, there's something that was they're talking about that they now have their hands on is what you could call a hit list that they had created for the last decade, going after media personalities, going after all, like this is going to get bigger. And as all of these people are exposed, like this was a corrupt mob like run organization with heads. Like there's generals at the top. Like these guys weren't just some large round table committee that just all nodded to each other, but there's people who had distinct power within this group that got everybody else to dance.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, right?
And some people are, of course, pointing to the Epstein files, but I think it's more beyond that. Some of these guys didn't need an Epstein-type character to get them compromised. Some of them are willingly go into it thinking they could profit from it, like Nancy Pelosi's bank account, right? So
this is the thing. Sue says no deal. See, I think the evidence is so strong. What they have so strong. This has been years in the making. In my opinion, Trump's had this plan in years. He allowed himself to get the mugshot. He allowed certain things to happen to him. It all set a precedent. They have no moral ground to go, this is weaponizing a judgment. Well, excuse me, what happened to Steve Bannon? In jail, served jail time. They put him in jail for defying Congress. They put him in jail for that. Trump, they got a mugshot out of it.
Yeah.
Tit for tat, you fuckers, you played with fire, you're going to get burned now. The boomerang's coming all around. Karma's a bitch. Look out, hell's a coming. Now listen, so much is going on. I saw this clip that you're talking about. He goes, I think it would be a winning point for the DOJ, get involved, trying to bring Fed charges. Young guy, assaults 2 seniors, abortion. The guy's all bloodied up and, stomps and kicks these people to the curb. A couple of pro-life people. He's been sentenced, stayed home for a year. These are Democrat judges playing around with fool charges on anything. Justice has fled the land. But I'm telling you, America is in for a transformative revolution, the likes of which we haven't seen since 1776.
Amen.
this thing that's going on in Texas right now with the seats, we got the Dems walking out. We might as well play the clip. I've got one, Texas Dems. I think, the first one, play the first one first, Nick Sorter, Texas Dems. And then I got Lives of TikTok, Texas Dems. So I got a couple of shows. Sue will grab the links for us. Either one will work, kind of. Anyway, I'm always happy to have Sue background. Blake, I mean, this is an amazing thing. The Democrat Party, as we know it, may cease to exist by the time Trump's done with them. It's unbelievable what we're seeing.
It's time that they should have abolished them after the Civil War, for crying out loud. They're Confederates.
You think about it, right? Slavery and all the rest of it, KKK. Breaking, Democrats did not return to Texas by today's 1 p.m. deadline. It's time to remove them from office. The FBI is now assisting Texas locating them and are working with sergeant-at-arms in other states to actively, I'm going to add the word actively, arrest them. Democrats will now no longer receive their paychecks, must pick them up at the Capitol where they're arrested. We might as well play the clip here, and we'll see how it goes.
And guys, we just have breaking news right now from inside that they do not have enough Democrats to meet that quorum. And I could tell you from talking to Republicans today, this was really no surprise. They did not expect it, although, of course, that's what they hoped for. As I mentioned, there are a lot of threats from those Republicans. So now the question is whether they are going to enforce them and what happens next in terms of any punishment for not meeting that deadline. Governor California Gavin Newsom is going to hold a press conference later today, and other California leaders are going to join him. But again, breaking news right now, not enough Democrats to meet that quorum, blocking that redistricting vote yet again, guys.
Okay, so this is amazing what's happening here. Now, what's interesting, one of the, I think it was the governor of Maine said, okay, you dirty Republicans, if you're gerrymandering and you're getting control, because all this is about House seats in Congress, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to tell you that the Republican Party stands poised to win control of the House in the United States House of Representatives. They are going to have that controlled for the foreseeable, for generations to come. It's unbelievable what's happening. Sue's got another one for us. Let's take a look. Okay, breaking. Dustin Burrows, Speaker of the Texas House, announces additional penalties for Dems who fled the state. Here's what you win. Tell them what they've won, Don Pardo. Possible arrest, no direct paycheck deposits. If they want to get paid, they got to come back to Texas and collect their check in person. They aren't going to mail them out. You can pick it up at the Capitol where you're going to be arrested upon arrival. 30% of the office budget is to be made unavailable to them. They've got to appear in person to ask permission for reimbursement and approve newsletters. Hold them accountable. And is there a clip on that one, Sue?
It looks like it's being silly.
Okay, we'll leave that one.
Sometimes if they click on the image again, sometimes I'll fix it.
Sometimes it clicks. Click on there, Sue.
Yeah, it's just hanging. That's
It's
X's servers.
Yeah, don't worry. But I mean, this is so. Here's the deal. Here's what the governor of Maine said: we're going to gerrymander Maine, so you Republicans will never get another seat in Maine. The problem is Illinois, and I think God, where else? Minnesota and New York and Maine and many other states have already been, California very significantly, have already been gerrymandered to such an extent that the Republicans don't have a hope in hell of ever winning there.
Yeah, it's a one-party state. Yep.
In other words, the Dems have already played their big hand to gain as much control as they can. The Republicans have yet to play their card to start dropping their cards. They're doing it now. One of the threats on the table originally at stake were 5 House seats, but the Dems walked out of town. They fled to Illinois. They're like the little pigs with the big bad wolf huffing and puffing. We're going to go in our little house of twigs in Illinois. Whoof, huff, puff, blows it down. Now we're running off to California. Now they're in the little house of stacks. Huff and puff. They are in so much trouble. They are now, one of the threats, okay, you want to fuck around? Five districts you lose. 5 House seats you're going to lose. Now the Republicans stand to gain what they're calling 8 House seats in Texas alone. Ladies and gentlemen, this will absolutely break the Democrat Party. Add to this what Trump's doing with the census rolls, say you can no longer count illegals on there, which gave more seats to the Dems. Add to this a depleting population in California because they've got this massive flight out of California, out of all these blue states, because they've run them into the ground. They're all losing their population. Now they're being filled with newcomers, exciting, who can't vote, who can't
dependents.
be counted. So, Blake, I mean, glory days, praise God. We're entering a golden age for America under the auspices of the glorious Donald John Trump. I couldn't be happier. I'm excited. And then all this legal stuff that's happening. Letitia James in trouble. Jack Smith, who was the investigative chair, that was working independent counsel that they got to investigate Trump. It was throwing charge after charge after charge after him. It was in charge of the Mar-a-Lago raid. Unbelievable. Boy, payback is a bitch.
Well, they're coming after him for tampering with the evidence.
Yeah, he tampered. Yeah,
so
he tampered with the evidence. Indeed, he did tamper with evidence, and we saw that, and that was even revealed back then. Blake, I've said a lot. Take it away. Just thoughts on any of the gerrymandering districts, the future of the Democrat Party, however you want to take this on.
Well, my only point on it I don't understand how a redistricting effort isn't done in a very public way. It should always be done publicly. There should be a citizens panel, not of politicians, maybe a chair, but that's about it. But there should be a citizens panel of people that sit and decide that based on what's best for where they live. But when you look at some of the districts that they've created, and they've done this in Canada too, and in the Western world, this is quite common in this corrupt kind of electoral systems where they design it to essentially give them seats in areas that doesn't make sense geographically. I mean, it's very simple to look at a map and say, well, that doesn't make sense, where you got part of San Antonio tied to, an eastern parts of Austin, Texas, and a little line that draws up. I think we've all seen that, and they're going, come on. I mean, that's so blatant, it's ridiculous. But for a Democrat, I mean, you need to hang your head in shame. You guys you claim about democracy is you've said it for 8 years, all through Trump's first administration. You said it all through Biden's. It's all about democracy. It's democracy. Democracy's at threat. Democracy. Well, here you go. Democracy is at threat, not because of Republicans, because Democrats don't show up to frickin' vote. Vote. That is what you're hired to do by your citizens. So if you had a gerrymandered seat, regardless, you're still elected to be there to vote. That's how you protest. You vote against it. That's what you do. But to go and hide shows that you have some other motive. It has nothing to do with democracy. It has everything to do to stymie democracy. And this is what's been going on for a long time. Again, I keep pointing back to, and I agree with the statement that, the Democratic Party is really just the neo-Confederate party. They're just this time, they're like Lee on the run. They're getting beaten at every battle now. Lee had his chance. He almost got close to Washington. If he had won Gettysburg, it would have been a real hellhole going on into New York and to Washington, D.C. But the point was, he got beaten. Well, Dems, you got beaten. You had your Gettysburg. It's finished. Now you're on the run. You're retreating. Just give up. Your Confederate ways don't wash with the American Union. And if there's anybody who should be pointing of any type of form of a rebellion, it's you guys again. You're doing it.
We are winning on every front right now.
And I think we've got our General Grant this time. Trump, and he's got good generals now, not a bunch of rhinos that were put in position there in the last administration of his to cause chaos.
Yeah.
And I think he listened to a lot of people, but I think it was a good thing. He was able to, in the long run, identify all the problems in the first 4 years and target where these Confederates have been operating.
What's happening? There's a real sea change underway. I mean, from the blue jeans that people are wearing with this Sydney Sweeney story, going viral with this beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. You know, the whole idea of, you know, no more with people of diversity, DEI bullshit. They just got a nice girl next door kind of look to put on a pair of jeans, and the world goes, hey, this is okay. She's good looking. She's okay. We got Howard Stern after 20 years on Sirius XM, who seriously went Trump derangement syndrome, went hard after Trump. It looks like he's done. Jimmy Kimmel, we don't know about him yet, but we do know about Stephen Colbert. He's done. We also found last night Greg Gutfeld from Fox showed up as probably the main guest on the Jimmy Fallon show. And they received it was cordial, and maybe that is a sign.
And they kept politics out of the show.
They generally kept politics to the back burner. It was just kind of a light and easy kind of, hey, I know you. We have some history together, you know, in show business, comedians.
Well, maybe back to the roots of comedy.
You know, because if we're willing to allow the healing, and I, for one, am willing to do it. I know there's been a lot of shit. There's so much attacks, but we're winning. We're getting the bad guys. They're being put in jail. A lot of people are losing their voice. Their soapboxes going away. Cobert's gone. We're hearing The View is on hiatus. Is it indefinite? We don't know. There's a lot of, if you're on that side, Hollywood bleeding. Fox News is down in viewership. CNN's down. They're all down in viewership. All legacy is suffering. But CNN over last year is down 42% of their audience just over the last year. That's another battlefield where we're winning, where we're gaining souls. And by God, people are talking about South Park. Oh, South Park's doing great. They're going after Trump and all the like. Be careful, South Park, how you play your hand in going after Trump, because Trump has a long list of people that are no longer gainfully employed for having gone after him. And speaking of that, I want to go to this clip. We've got Rob Ford or whatever his name is, Doug Ford.
Think South Park gets a pass with a lot of people because they hit everybody.
Well, they didn't hit Biden much. They did a little bit, but they're going hard on Trump.
So
anyway, CNN, it's Ford on CNN. Okay. All I want to point out is this Ford guy, again, this is the meeting of nations, Canada and America. It is really interesting. So where does he go? This guy, Blake will tell you about him.
Yeah.
I'll let Blake take the field on this story. But just so you know, Dougie Douchebag, very accurately, Chris Barber, Big Red, we love him. Doug Ford's negotiation skills called Trump probably the most disliked politician in the world on CNN. Scroll it up so we can see the label. There it is. CNN, the most trusted name in news. Share bullshit. Carney, Trump had impasse over trade. In fact, don't even play it because all he's going to do is shit on Trump. So let's spare that. There's enough of that shit going on. Blake, he shows up on all places, CNN, with their 42% weakened audience. To do what? Shit on Trump. Is this going to be a good move on his part? What do you think is going to happen?
Actually, if you listen to it, he's not shitting on Trump. He's whining like a little girl that got in trouble for something. If you watch him, he's going on and on about how, we thought we were family. We thought we're this. You know what? Because he didn't get to keep all the cookies this time and be selfish. Old Doug. Well, Doug is the conservative, in name only, premier of Ontario, which is for Americans is the most populous province in Canada. Roughly, I think they got about 14 or 15 million people. So almost, I think about 35 to 40% of the population lives in Ontario. Highly dependent off the U.S. for trade, especially with steel, vehicles. Hamilton is built on steel production. Car production, a lot of manufacturing. But, if you listen to Doug Ford, I mean, this is the guy, as soon as Trump was elected and just literally after the tariffs were announced that he was looking at tariffs across the board, not just Canada, but everywhere, he called in a snap election because he knew he would be in trouble. And at that time, a federal election was looming. So he quickly got in there out of the gate right away. Then a federal election was announced. His election completed. He won because really the NDP and the Liberals in Ontario are really weakened parties. But there's a reason why he got to win. And I think because he's connected to the federal Liberals. They're a giant uniparty of people that do that. Yeah. So he got in there. He used the Trump tariffs. He campaigned on it while torpedoing at the same time the federal Conservatives election. He went after Poilievre, who was by far the leader, winning on all the polls. All of a sudden, Trump deranged syndrome hit Canada. The Liberals called an election. They anointed a leader, being Carney, who basically kicked out 2 leading contenders out of their party, took their money, said, nope, you're no longer allowed to run as a leader because we're anointing Carney. The whole elbows up kicked in. He got behind it. He went after Poilievre. And then Trump, of course, said, well, I don't really like that conservative guy. He didn't even know his name. He basically didn't like him. And he goes, I would rather go with the Liberal, which was Carney. And we all know why. We've had our theories on that show for a while, why Carney would be a Trump pick. But Ford, his only claim to fame really was he was the brother of Rob Ford, the famous crackhead mayor of Toronto, who is literally our Chris Farley. I love Chris Farley. And actually, Rob Ford seemed like much more of a real guy.
He was our Billy Bud beer guy.
Yeah, Billy for the 70s.
He was our Billy Bud. But here's the deal, Blake. Here's other news out of Canada for those who've been watching, got their eye on the Canadian scene. Pierre Poilievre is the opposition leader in Canada. He represents the Conservative, he's like a rhino Republican to me, okay? He's like a George Bush type Republican, okay, if that gives you an idea about this guy. But he's pandered. He's screwed up so badly. His campaign manager has just resigned. That campaign manager told him to go all in like Carney and go against Trump. My personal feeling, if Carney had started, not Carney, but Poilievre, this opposition guy, this quote conservative, had gone in shoulder to shoulder and backed Trump, he would have had my vote. I didn't vote for him. I voted for Pierre Poilievre, the guy that said, hey people, heads up, the luck. I vote for Maxime Bernier. Sorry, they all got these French Canadian names. I voted for Bernier. Bernier's the guy that said 4 years ago, hey kids, there's going to be lockdowns because of the environment. You wait, you watch for it. And it turns out this guy's right. He got my vote this time around. He had it last time around. He doesn't have a hope in winning anything in Canada. The way it's worked, it's like a third party thing. There's no way in hell he has a chance of winning anything. So, the Liberals have annihilated the NDP party federally as well. So they're not even irrelevant anymore. Yeah. Well, you got to keep an eye on them because they're a snake in the grass that's waiting to be resurrected at a moment's notice. Okay, Sis got the following. Here's the link that he had. I tweeted this. So we showed this earlier in the show, Sue, before he got here, but it's okay. Yeah. COVID lockdowns, vaccine passports, just rehearsal, climate lockdowns, carbon passport. Turns out, I think it's very safe to say that's going to turn out to be a very accurate prophecy of what the absolute state of things are in Canada. Yeah. But in terms of Doug Ford going against Donald Trump, because he does say he's the most hated politician in Canada. No, he said the most hated politician in the world. Okay, fair enough. That's what because of the tariff, my point is when you put the word hate and Trump together and the president gets wind of that, you become persona non grata in that guy. And Trump's the kind of guy that takes account of names. It doesn't look like he's doing anything, but lo and behold, just wait a little while and hell comes down. The hammer of Thor comes down on your ass. And this is what's going to happen to Ford. You wait. Those words are going to come back to haunt him in a very tangible, financial weight that's going to hurt his province from the president. You wait.
Well, Ontario's in a rough position because they don't have any credible opposition party. Like, you got Liberals and NDP, and they're no different than Doug Ford. They would act the same way, if not even worse. They would go further woke. But Doug Ford's like a crying little baby. He's trying to make it all personal. He goes, but we're family. That was in that his argument is that it feels like we're going after family, and that he's being told by, Republicans in the background, they're too scared to stand up to Trump, that are against these tariffs. And but the fact is, he can't be hammering on the world's most powerful nation's leader and think and coming from one of the weakest countries in the G7, if not weak. We're behind Turkey. There's so many countries that could invade Canada right now. We would lose. We would lose in a heartbeat without America. The only reason why we're not full on tyranny in Canada is because we have America on our border, and America won't allow that. But Doug Ford, he's part of that Laurentian elite. These guys all make money off their monopolies. He's a millionaire, silver spoon kid, grew up in a wealthy family out of Canada that lives off those monopolies.
I know you're fired up. Now, hang on. This is going to warm the cockles. How is our bilateral agreement with Mexico? Canada's regional.
Oh, I know. What does Mexico say?
No.
We made a big production in Canada from our government. It was like, we're going to go and set up our own trade deal with Mexico. What did Mexico say? We already have one, and we're not going to mess with it. Which means the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement, Kuzma, that is, they're saying there's nothing to negotiate at this point.
Okay, we sent 2 more of our clowns off to Italy. Did you hear about the Italy story?
Oh, no, that's just come out?
Yeah, so we sent Jolie, the one that had the Palestinians camped outside her door.
Yeah.
Sow the wind, reap the whirlwind, honey. They're your people now. Those are ones you love. So Anand, I don't know her first name, but she's another parliamentarian.
Yeah.
Congress type person, Canadian version of it.
She's a cabinet member.
They go to Italy, and they're looking for bilateral with Italy. Italy told them to get stuffed, and not so many words. What they said basically, what, we're going to go and do a deal with you and piss off Trump? No way in hell is that going to happen. We can't do a deal. There's no bloody way.
Yeah, and EU did a deal. They did a deal too.
Canada is persona non grata right now. We're going around looking for it. We're an absolute international pariah made so by Trump, because they know that Trump's not happy with us. And Trump said, you work around, you do a workaround with me, I'll double my tariff on you. I will tariff you to hell and back. And it's working. Everything is just, it's unbelievable what we're seeing. This guy is winning on every front. Let's talk the jobs report in Canada and in America. Let's do a
the real stats, the new stats that were produced in the U.S. that were correct.
Okay, let's take a look. Let's go USA jobs. This is a story. There's a lot to it. Holy smokes. But it's the clip there. It's called USA Jobs. I think Sue's got it for us. All right. So, hokey smoke. Or do you have it for us?
That doesn't.
Okay, doesn't take us there?
No.
All right, we'll remove that. Anyway, baseball is fun. So what's happened is, Trump replaced the idiot that was with the Democrats there. And apparently she overestimated to the tune of $1.5 million, or 1.5 million jobs, excuse me. Trump jobs. I'll look it up. No, it's okay. It's okay.
We just had a video come out where they showed a new the corrected jobs report.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Let's hold on. Let's go. Okay. Breaking news. Trump and Stephen Moore unveil new data to make case against BLS job numbers, the previous one. Now, this is a long video. I'll just play a little bit of it. And we'll see how we get on with it.
Just need to see the graph, really.
Yeah, really is where it's at. But it's good to hear these guys talk about what went down.
Yeah.
thank you very much, everybody. We're going to have just a quick session with Steve Moore. Everybody knows Steve Moore with the Heritage Foundation, highly respected, one of the most highly respected economists and people that watch your money and know more about your money and your life than probably anybody I can think of. And I want to thank Steve for being here. I saw this today. They came out. What he puts out gets a lot of coverage, and I saw some of them, and then he had a couple of others. And I'd like to ask Steve maybe to discuss a few of these numbers that were just released. I mean, literally just released. And then we're going over, and we're going to do Purple Heart. We have some incredible, brave people that I look forward to, so we're going to do that right after this. Steve, could you say a few words about the various charts?
Thank you, Mr. President. So I called the President because I had some very good news from some new data that we've been able to put together that no one has ever seen before, and I'll just very quickly go through these. So I was telling the President that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. That's Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And I don't know if she's, I'm not
It might
making
not have been an error, that's the bad part. If it was an error, it would be one thing. I don't think it's an error. I think they did it purposely.
Whether that, you may well be right, but even if it wasn't purposefully, it's incompetence.
Right.
Okay, so that's part of the story. I'll just get, I remember Trump comes over to the table and he returns for one chart. Yeah, this part here.
But this chart is pretty amazing right here.
Okay, so what it's showing there is under Trump, the household income for Americans absolutely tangibly skyrocketed. And folks, if you're interested in this sort of thing, you can follow the clip in its entirety over on YouTube. There's a link for it right there, and I will highlight right here this little thing. It's in the peanut gallery there, kids, and you can go on your own recognizance, look at that. But, you know, Trump got in a lot of trouble. You know, the Dems are saying, oh, he's doing that. But I just see it as cleaning the swamp. I see it getting rid of more resistance, if you will, resist the president, and getting rid of this and correcting those horrific fraudulent numbers there's either one of two things, right? It's purposeful deception, 1.5 million jobs, or it's incompetence. You take your pick. Blake, comments on those statistics?
Well, I think he was able to kind of correct the record, which was being completely skewed by, as you called, the resistance. And I think you were going to show,
right?
And that's the problem. You have they're like cells. They're hidden in behind. They've been funded already in advance to sit there and cause chaos. But I think if you now show the Canadian one, because I think you were going to show the Canadian numbers in contrast.
Yeah.
And it really is a tale of two cities, one going down, one going up, or two countries in this case, where bad policy, progressive woke policy, globalism, the new world order they thought they would be able to bring into that Agenda 2030 is being dismantled in front of our eyes. But sadly, Canada is the staging ground, the trenches of which they've decided to dig in, and they're losing on all fronts.
Okay, Canada Proud writes, breaking: Canada loses 41,000 jobs in July, with over 80% of all job losses impacting people between the ages of 15 and 24. So young people are the big losers here. But the main issue is that Canada, instead of showing job growth, which America actually does in the revised numbers that Trump was able to produce. And he says these are going to become part of the public record. They get to see them first before anybody else, for obvious reasons, before they go out and are disseminated amongst the public. But here in Canada, we just shred. Canada's in big trouble. It's a story of two nations. One's taking the escalator up and one's taking it down. Go ahead.
Well, and I think that's to look at the falsification of statistics by government agencies. And in Canada, it's really bad. There's statistics and then there's statistics. In this case, Canada what they've done to skew the numbers and the job numbers is they have taken, they don't separate. You have to go through private entities who are doing research on this to find out the public sector versus private sector. Canada's public sector has skyrocketed. That is the only job creators. So they are skewing the numbers on job creation, saying, hey, we got new job. We got X number of thousands of new jobs. They're almost entirely tied to government jobs, government contracts. And if you actually look at the private sector, which is like small business, medium business, or even larger businesses that are not tied to government contracts and money that way, but through the private wealth only and development of those businesses, the numbers are collapsing. I mean, it's everywhere. There's a couple little outliers, like Alberta is doing well, even under the great threat to their oil industry from our carbon crazy liberals. But the point is that almost everywhere else you got, Wab Canoe, everyone loves him, but he's spending wildly. All the NDP run provinces, but then Ford's doing the same thing. Pretty much everywhere across the country outside of Saskatchewan and Alberta is completely out of control with their public sector expansionism. And that's the only way they can keep those job numbers up, is by faking it, by hiring a bunch of people to sit and add to the statistical chart with taxpayer dollars. And more, or better yet, taxpayer dollars haven't even been earned yet. They're borrowing to do this.
More often than not, these jobs that they do report on are part-time jobs. So they go, we created jobs, but they don't explain what type of job they are. Are they full-time? Are they entry-level jobs? Are they good paying? Are they skilled profession jobs? What kind of jobs are they? They don't tell you. They just put it out for a big press release for propaganda purposes. So,
and of course, our legacy media, we don't have journalists anymore that actually do research and dig into it and question the hell out of them. They just obey and regurgitate the talking points that the government wants.
Another big story that kind of breaking here. This is just the the absolute state of things here in the Great White North, and we're going to go a little into overtime here. Are you able to stick around for a bit, Blake?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. So we got Blake for a bit. Just want to cover this one. This is just absolute the state of things. I call this the absolute state of things.
To discuss with you.
Hang on. In fact, I don't even want to go here quite yet. Let's see how big I can make this for you kids so that you can read it a little bit. I'll read it for you. This happened out in Atlantic Canada a few months ago, and the police there became an international laughingstock. Glad to see everyone in Winnipeg was paying attention. Alex Zoltan writes, Winnipeg police, one of our senior officers is a psychopathic serial criminal who, while maybe high on coke and mushrooms, sold drugs, extorted people, and took grotesque pictures with dead women in their underwear. But before we get to all that, let's do a dozen land acknowledgements. All right, let's get on with the land acknowledgements.
Today. But before we do that, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the home and tradition lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation.
Like, that's important to know.
Territory.
All right, now let's get on to the mushrooms and the raping. Okay, so, I mean, it's just absolutely nuts, right? We did see this article, Pat. We covered it a couple of days ago. This is a kind of usual thing. All they got was slaps on the wrist, no jail time, no fines, no nothing. Just, you can't have your job anymore, but you can keep your ill-gotten goods. No worries. Just carry on.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
Nothing to see here. So land acknowledgements, the same old thing. We see it all the time. This is an ongoing problem, both in Canada, but also within the United States at liberal universities, colleges, and they're all liberal.
It's in Australia too now, and New Zealand. They've got the same problem. They've got, especially Australia with the Aborigines. But they've got, again, being pushed typically not by the Indigenous people themselves, but pushed by far left liberal activists out of universities.
One of my favorite people is 4D Man, comes to us via Manchester. This is a great story. Let me see. I want to get it, make sure I got it. Oh, yeah, here you go. This is a good one. All right. Let's share the clicker. This is Basil. This is a great UK account, Basil the Great. And again, I'll make sure that it's large enough here for you at least to get a sense of what's going on.
I saw this.
This is unbelievable. Now you can see the actual footage, everybody. So if you're interested, that this incident has been recorded. But take a look. As if my London News reported this story like this, you cannot hate the media enough. This is why we need independent journalists. Now, there's the thing down below. There's a little naked guy yelling. A fight breaks out after a migrant man exposes himself on a London train. There are women and children around him. Now, he's all blurred out with his little private parts, his dick. He's clearly a nut. But there he is with his Johnson showing and all the rest. I don't know. Maybe they call it an Abdullah where he's from. But anyway, and then over here, here's how the liberal media covers it. Half-naked man in mental health crisis beaten by London Underground passengers. Oh all right, screw them. I think I can actually get away with this because it's all covered and you can just see the nonsense. Here we go.
Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! What do you mean fuck off? Fuck off!
He seems nice.
Train, mate. There's fucking kids about, man. Let's go. What the fuck, mate? Get off the fucking train, you fucking trousers. Go, put up your trousers. Put up your fucking trousers, mate. No. Go.
Alright.
No fucking down. Fucking shit. You fucking shoot me now. Fucking dead. It's a mental head. Go. Fucking go.
All right. Holy stuff. So you end up grabbing that guy and they kind of shove him out the door and I guess they hold him until the cops come. But, the absolute state of things in England right now. And also the United Kingdom at large, right? Wales, England, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, they all got problems right now. The newcomers causing a lot of shit. But hey, there's trouble with the local constabulary and their own people as well. I want to be clear about that. A couple of Welshmen in South Wales. One was a cop, one's a lawyer, and they held a girl and did nasty things and blah blah blah. And they're white guys, so crime and depravity is not race sensitive. It's all people are guilty. Go ahead.
Well, and I think what you're seeing there is not just from newcomers, as you correctly stated. There's a degradation going on in all of our, let's just say, progressively run cities. Yeah. Those is where you're seeing that. I mean, we see it in our own backyard. You live in Nanaimo. We see it in Victoria. We see it in Vancouver, where there's this absolute street chaos that's just allowed to continue. And we've got people who, we've got our governments more concerned about putting Tamara Leach and others in jail over a trucker protest for 8 years. And while there's people stabbing people randomly on our streets who are drugged out of control, fentanyl everywhere, zombie like apocalypse type scenes in our cities. Crime is just off the charts. The progressives leave it alone, and anybody gets arrested for doing anything. I think there was a recent court case. I don't even want to find it, but there was one where literally a guy, because he was, I don't know, it's because of his background or whatever it was, didn't have to do any time in jail for beating somebody up. So the point is that we've got this insanity that's happening in the Western world. And I would argue it is a Western world phenomenon. It's in our big cities run by progressives. It's almost like they're purposely trying to degrade the population, make them feel like they're the problem. They're the ones who are always wrong.
Hold on, Blake. Maybe the population is a problem. We got a great headline here. Global News reporting, don't be pooping on the beach, Doug Forrest said of Ontario Town Saga. Blake, do you frequently require a message from our government to remind you not to defecate on the public beaches? Just have a little squat down and squeeze out a little turd. Yeah. Your thoughts on this? Have you ever turded in the public?
No, I have not.
I haven't either.
I have in the woods. Tim.
Does a bear?
In the woods.
Does a
Yeah.
Blake shit in the woods? Apparently, the answer is yes.
Yeah. And it's fully legal. You can do that in the woods, in the wilderness.
My God.
But the point is that these guys are off the charts. They've allowed these cities to turn into hellholes, mixed with newcomers that are, in a lot of cases, being dumped out of their own countries because they don't want to look after them anymore. We've known Cuba for years. That was their big thing, is empty your prisons, throw them on boats to Florida. That's kind of, I think, what's happening. The third world says, okay, let's get rid of these people. Let's send them to the Western world. The Western world, let's bring them in. And that's why we're getting all their criminals. We're getting all the problematic immigrants. We're not getting families. They keep trying to tell us these are families. Look at all these families. How many times have you seen those boats getting off? And it's like 95% guys between the ages of 18 and 35 years old, right? You never see groups of women and their children and all that kind of stuff, very rarely.
All right. Well, I don't want you to be a racist, and that's one of the biggest problems facing Canada right now, Blake. As you're going to learn from this exciting report here. According to CBC experts, quote, experts, Andy Knight and Barbara Perry are experts. The sudden spike in hateful conduct inside the Canadian Armed Forces is due to the election of Donald Trump. Oh, I thought there might be a reason. And because there's too many white men in the Canadian Armed Forces. Okay, do you want to make that and play the clip? Let's see what the problem
is. The Canadian military is facing a resurgence in hateful and racist conduct within the ranks. We've obtained internal data that shows the number of reported incidents spiked last year.
New data obtained by CBC News shows a resurgence of hateful conduct last year. The Defense Department figures reveal that since the military cracked down on hateful conduct in 2020, the number of incidents dropped year after year, but then spiked again in 2024. Most of the claims are of intimidation, threats, and involvement in hate
because
propaganda.
an American president.
That rise.
But he wasn't.
And the election of
Trump wasn't elected in 2024. He wasn't the president in 2024. Biden was, and Trudeau was our prime minister.
To those sorts of narratives that are trying to explain or trying to convince them somehow that white men have been left behind.
Within the last.
Lieutenant General Mike Wright says hateful conduct must
Look at the
be
glasses.
rooted
They
out.
always have the same
Something
glasses.
I probably shouldn't say on CBC, but
All right, so Canada's having a real problem with recruitment, and they say one of the problems is too many white guys in the army. That's the problem. Too many white guys. So we got to get more Rashids in there and the like. I think that's going to be problematic. I mean, what kind of loyalty, if you're from a third world country, you come in, you've been here a week or two, you're going to be our police force. You're going to be our army, and your job is to police the Canadian population. What loyalty to Canada's history, its values, its norms are you going to adhere to? I'm sorry, but where I come from, I like just to shit in the mall. Right out there in the food cart, I'm just going to have a big old turd stool, and I'm happy about it, by gum. Blake, response.
Well, I think we've seen this before in other countries like France. They had the French Foreign Legion, where they would basically anyone in the world could apply to be part of the French Foreign Legion as a way to get into the country. But in this case, you would have to earn your citizenship through military service. So we've had that. That's something historical in Canada. The Haitians, we've had a lot of the Haitians who joined the Canadian forces years ago and were able to earn their way in. But now you're getting this, third world migration on a large scale as a way to fill in the gaps that they can't get locals to get out there. So this is CBC, right? Demonize the population, demonize let's call it now, because really it's the indigenous population now, because people have been born here for generations, and saying you're the problem. We need to bring in all these other people of, different backgrounds outside of the country because, they're not racist. But we all know if you go to China, you go to India, they have some of the most harshest racists in the world. And you ask a Chinese person if they like an Indian person like no way. They start moving into neighborhoods together. They separate quickly. This isn't something that's specific to white people. This is a worldwide. People are tribal. That's just the way they are.
Well, and I think that, the tie-in with Trump, as you say, 2024 predates Trump. But what's really, I think, more telling about it is that it's the Canadian military. What impact should the American president have to do on? Shouldn't our military guys be all gung ho for Canada and yay Carney and yay Trudeau?
Yep.
What if these? Maybe it's the fact that they're all holding people's rear ends at gay pride parades.
Yeah,
maybe that's not resonating with young men in the military. Well, I sure love your cock, Bill. Beautiful piece of junk you got dangling there.
that was an SNL skit, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Well, do you remember that one? Hey, John, nice penis.
Oh,
do you remember that skit?
Hey, pretty good. Yeah, I think I do actually. Anyway, Blake, any other stories you want to cover before we bid adieu to the kids for another day and I get some lunch in me?
Well, yeah, I think food is going to come. But essentially, Canada's in trouble. I think that's the biggest story right now. Carney is, I believe, he's been orchestrating this collapse. I think he had no intent. He hasn't even really been trying to negotiate a deal. I think he's leaving it so he has no choice. I believe he is the guy who is bringing Canada into an economic union with the U.S.
Yeah.
I've been saying it all along. All of his actions show all of the doors being closed. He could have negotiated a deal on day one, but he didn't. He basically let it flow, let it ride. Again, this is a guy with 90+% of his own personal investments are in the U.S.
Yeah.
and less than 0.3% of his investments are in Canada. He's bet hard on the growth of U.S. economy, which means Brookfield that moved there did that, which means the asset managers are all part of that now. They've all realized
they're doing good. Yeah, they're doing good.
So Canada, this is, again, Canadians, you need to understand your elbows up has done nothing but help this process because Trump wanted Carney in. Why? Because he's the guy who's going to bring Canada into an economic union with the U.S., and it's going to happen if you like it or not, because it's got to come from the left, because the lefties in Canada are nuts. They can't accept anything unless it comes from them, and they will sell the deal to the rest of Canada saying, Carney did it. He made a great deal. We're going to have an economic union, yet retain some of our sovereignty. You watch.
I agree with you, Blake. We're in a real grind. We're in the press right now, and we're becoming a pariah. Canada's reaching here, going there, trying to work around Trump, and it's just nobody's buying. We're throwing the line into the water. No fish are biting. They're wise not to. You don't want to get Trump mad at you. Good things are happening on the legal front. The House of Representatives of the United States. Incredible with the redistricting. The Republicans are surging right now. Everything is a full court press. The liberals are dying in lamestream media, legacy media, in their films, their Hollywood. They're struggling there. They're struggling on every battlefield. These are glorious times. Stay tuned. Praise God. And thank you, Lord, for Donald John Trump. What an amazing time to be alive. Give us a thumbs up. And subscribe if you're new around here. And we will be back on Tuesday at 12 noon. Thanks, everybody. Patreons, I got a show tonight, too. If you want to join Patreon, it's non-political, but I like money, we need money first, as the Beatles said. Somebody wanted to sing once. We need money first. So there you go, kids. You go to my Patreon, support $5 a month. It'd be a great thing, and I'd appreciate it. Okay, that'll do it. Thank you, Blake, so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you all.